welcome to Wellingtone's PMO Academy webinar. The latest one is all about coming back to PMO. So coming back from the summer break can be a little bit daunting and overwhelming if you have either been away or you've been at home and away. The organisations that we're coming back to at the moment are changing. We can see that we are changing direction in many ways, and PMOs are being affected by that, of course. During this webinar, I'm hoping to give you some best tactics to get your PMO fired up again in order to deliver successful change and really to re-engage with your organisations and also with your PMO customers. So what are we going to talk about today? I'm going to start with introductions, just in case you don't know who we are just yet. And I'm going to start looking at the characteristics of PMOs following the summer break. Then we're going to look at some tactics that you can take in order to strengthen your PMO, and also look at the next steps of what you can do, what opportunities there are for you to improve and strengthen your PMO, as well as your own skills. So this is me. I'm Emma-Ruth. I'm the Director of Consulting Services at Wellingtone, and I'm also involved as a volunteer with a number of global associations around project management. So I'm a fellow of the APM, the Association for Project Management, which is the chartered body for the profession here in the UK. I'm involved with PMI UK and Spain, and as well as the IPMA's Innovation and Change SIG. I'm a PMO specialist. I chair the PMO specific interest group for the APM, and I'm also our sustainability and CSR lead here at Wellingtone. In terms of Wellingtone ourselves, we are a project management consultancy firm, and our mission is to enable our clients to make a step change in their maturity. And we do that through technology, consultancy training, as well as we run conferences and events every year, albeit less so this year. And we will talk about our future PMO conference a little bit later. We also do a lot of research, and we try and bring lots of kind of global insights on project management into the UK and beyond. We have our head office in Windsor here in the UK. We also have an office in Ireland, in Madrid, and we have partners in Costa Rica. So we like to get about, it's fair to say, in the world of project management. We are uniquely the only Microsoft Gold partner that is also accredited by the APM, and that we are the only one in the world that has those two accreditations together. And I said I'm a PMO specialist. We have a deep passion for PMO here at Wellingtone, and we are partners with the PMO Global Alliance, and we've recently been accredited as a leader in PMO training. Our clients come from all walks of life, so you can see a snapshot there, and we do invite you to just take a look at our case studies and see if you can learn anything from some of the experiences that we've had. So what do PMOs look like after the summer break? Quite often we need to kick off new work. I think this year we definitely need to kick off new work. Like I said, following the COVID-19 pandemic, lots of organisations are changing direction, changing the way that they operate as an organisation, and it means that we need to adapt to support them. So we need to kick off new work. There might be some work that we were doing before the summer holidays, which we need to start or continue those negotiations, whether it's for people, whether it's for funding, or the approval to just try something new. We have to restart our assurance activities. It's always tough during the summer to keep going with our typical audit and assurance pieces of work that we would traditionally do on a weekly basis, probably across all of our projects. But because people aren't as available, they do tend to stall over the summer. So we have to restart those activities. And the same with our community events. We tend to kind of go quiet over the summer because we don't have that many people who are available to attend. So we have to reopen that. Ultimately, it's about renewing our relationships. Our PMO relationships are really important. So renewing those and starting to rebuild that relationship with all sorts of customers, senior, junior, our own peers, maybe people who we're doing benchmarking with. So it's really all about renewing those relationships. And that, like I said earlier, can seem quite daunting, and like, where do we start? I always say start at the beginning, but that's not really helpful because I'm sure we will have a number of priority ones being thrown at us. September is a good month though. September is all about renewal. New month, new beginning, new start in some cases. We've got new financial years for some organisations. So there are some kind of things that I always think about. September, coming back from holidays, we're kind of coming back a bit more relaxed. First thing I suggest that September's all about is really streamlining and decluttering. So everything from what does your desk look like, particularly if you're working from home. If you're anything like me, you've got stuff everywhere because we get distracted many times throughout the day. But also thinking about what are the services that, given the current situation with our organizations, and they'll all be different, is there anything that we can streamline? Are there any services that they're not going to be that useful right now, that we can maybe declutter from our service catalogue, just to get rid of the noise when people are already dealing with a lot of change? Begin something new. So again, looking at your organizations and understanding what wasn't important 6 months ago that now might be actually quite important, and we need to stand something up to be able to do that. So kind of begin something new, expand your services. One of the things that I'm seeing lots of PMOs are doing lots of now is supporting people with technology. They've had an incredible introduction to all sorts of forms of technology, and now it's the time to support them to make sure that people are comfortable with Teams or Zoom or whatever systems you're using to talk to each other. We cannot assume and should not assume that everybody can just pick stuff up. Not everybody's as technologically savvy as you might be. So really understand if there are some new services that you can offer that are going to support people, even if it's for the short term, just to get everybody back into the mind frame of work. And be present, I think, is really important. So yes, there are lots of things to do. There's maybe many emails and lots of things we need to catch up on. But when we are talking to people, particularly virtually, be present. I think that's one of the key things that we're seeing. I know I did a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and someone knocked on the door to deliver something, and I had to deal with that. I couldn't ignore it. So everybody's dealing with the same kind of interruptions. We all have cats walking across our screens nowadays, and children sitting on laps. So be present for your colleagues, for your peers. Make sure that if you are spending the time and you have asked them to spend the time with you, that you take that time and be present, not trying to do your emails or checking social media or doing other stuff, because it's already infuriating that we get quite a lot of distractions anyway. And recommit. Review your PMO. If you have a vision, mission, values, any of those, all of those, some of those, recommit. Really go through, understand if this is still prevalent, if it's still appropriate given the situation, and really recommit to what you said that you would deliver for the organization before you left in the summer. So September for me is all about renewal. I think it's a great month to kind of start doing new things. So some tactics that you can use to really get you there. The first one is accounting. Before the summer break, we did a webinar which was getting ready for your summer break and what you can do to kind of not close down, but bring down your PMO in terms of output, ready for people not being as available. So we should have now taken stock of our projects and programs and changes that were going on. Things that we were helping, maybe held some projects and activities, maybe we stopped some completely. So having done that, now is the time to get your project register up to date with the changes that are now in the pipeline. We're now seeing across many PMOs a lot more stuff coming into the pipeline from lots of different places. So now is a really, really good time to review your project register, do your project accounting, and understand what are we continuing, what's held, is it held for the right reasons, for the foreseeable, have we stopped things, and what's new, what's coming, because like I say, most organizations are changing in the way that they operate in one way or another. The next one is your roadmap. So with renewed relationships, you're going to be able to refine your roadmap for the next 18 months or so. I always say don't look any further than that, 18 months to 2 years, because the world will change again. But taking into account that new pipeline and all of that stuff that I've mentioned that might be newly important for your organization, that it wasn't 6 months ago, you know, how to use Teams wasn't a thing 6 months ago. Now we need to make sure that as technology evolves, that we are supporting people to use that technology with confidence. Next is lessons learned. So from the lessons that you reviewed before the summer break, so again, one of the key things that we said is a great time before you break for summer is to get your lessons learned from all the projects and do a bit of an analysis. And now from that review, we can now start to find some responsible owners for each of those activities that you have identified. And it's also a good idea to communicate the fact that this information is now available, that, you know, we have a view, this is where all of our lessons are. It might be on a spreadsheet, it might be on something fancier, but let people know that, you know, we've looked at these, and some have been categorized as low in terms of significance, so they're there to be reviewed for you to see in a transparent way, but others will have driven some activities out of them. And now is a perfect time that everybody's back to figure out who the best people are going to be to fix those processes, you know, negotiate those relationships or whatever it might be, those lessons have drawn out, so that we can start September with a mind of, we want to refresh who we are, what we do, and how we do it to make things better. In terms of the next one is all about objectives. So relook at your PMO objectives based on what you know now that the world has changed for many people, based on what you know about the coming months as well, and adjust it accordingly. So look at your PMO objectives. One of the things that I've mentioned before that we've seen happen is that many PMOs have been a lot more focused on the tactical delivery of reporting over the last 6 months, simply because people aren't in the office, so they can't just see stuff happening. So whereas we used to maybe do monthly reporting, that's been requested weekly or fortnightly. There is much more ad hoc reporting being requested from the PMO. So what has happened is, as the perception of visibility, because we can't just walk over to someone's desk and ask them, has diminished, the importance of good reporting and tactical reporting to help the organization decide on whether they should stop or continue with projects. So maybe our objectives have changed a little bit, and they will be for the longer term, in the sense of we need to get that confidence back. So if we don't have tools already that can help us to do that in a real-time-ish kind of way, now's the time to really start thinking about doing something like that, because many PMOs have reported to me that their time is being spent reporting and collating information rather than doing some of the more high value, or what they perceive to be more high value work. And lastly is the community work. Make sure that you schedule some key activities based on what is new for users of PMO services. So considering the importance, focus on things like virtual working. People are still struggling in getting that balance. Focus on the technology that they're using. Certainly the technology is evolving on an almost weekly basis. So even if they were, you know, got to grips with it 6 months ago, it's already changed. Focus on how things have been updated, how processes have changed. So you might have decided, based on some of our previous webinars, that now's a good time to be maybe more pragmatic about the amount of governance and assurance activities that we do, about the level of governance that we apply to projects. So now's a good time to let people know that we've changed things to accommodate the reality of our situations right now. So these tactics, for me, they're not all massive pieces of work. Some are bigger than others, but I think it's really important to the community piece in particular to touch base, even if it's just a lunch and learn, and what have we learned from, you know, COVID-19 and everything that's happened over the last 6 months. So one of the things that you can do, so some tactical steps that you can take, is we've had our Dr. PMO Clinic for some time. Apologies, there's no link in there. You will receive it immediately after this on an email. But we've had our Dr. PMO Clinic for some time now, and it's been really used by our PMO practitioner group, so people who have taken our PMO practitioner course. And what they would typically do is they would say, I'm having this particular challenge or problem or this opportunity, and I'm not sure what I can do about it. And we use that to kind of respond via videos or articles. So it's been really, really useful for some of our PMO practitioners. And what we thought we would do is to kind of restart your PMO, to kind of give it a bit of a reboot, is for the next week and a half, we are offering 30 minutes consultancy with myself. It's completely free. We are very proud to say that we are a no sales organization, in the sense of none of our events are ever salesy. Even our conference doesn't have a sales area. So, you know, we don't sell space to vendors or anything like that. And what you'll be able to do is effectively book a slot with me. You'll be able to answer a couple of questions that kind of say, give me an indication of, you know, some of the challenges that you might be facing on your return to work this September. And you can get that 30 minutes to just kind of flesh it out, maybe bounce some ideas off. Maybe I can give you some insights on what's coming down the pipeline for PMOs or anything like that. So you can choose your own date. There is a number of dates that we have available and times, so you'll be able to choose. So, you know, we work around you as opposed to the other way around. And like I say, don't underestimate the power of just spending a bit of time with somebody to just, you know, bat some things about and really understand, is there some other way of dealing with a particular situation. So do take advantage of that. It isn't available to everybody necessarily. Only the people who, you know, come on our webinars and who are in our community will have access to it. So do feel free to go on and book a time with me. As soon, like I say, as soon as this webinar's over, you'll receive a link with all the information. In terms of other upcoming opportunities that you have with Wellingtone, is the first one is a webinar which is in conjunction with the APM, which is to MOT your PPM skills. So some of you may be aware that we've done an MOT series of webinars where we've given you the ability to MOT your PMO, so how your PMO is performing overall. Also, how to MOT your technology, to understand what kind of technology will work best for you. And this time we're focusing on you as individuals. September is a great time for PMOs to do that renewal, but you've also as individuals hopefully taken some time to kind of reflect on your own skills, your own capability, your own future. And this webinar that's happening next week is going to allow you to effectively MOT your PPM skills. So looking at some key items or aspects of project management and really understanding, doing some reflective practice and figuring out if there are some areas for you to improve on. And also we have our Future PMO Academy Week. So each year we run a Future PMO conference. That's not happening this year. So rather than just can it, what we've decided to do instead is stand up an awesome week where you will have courses to attend, webinars, networking events, a lot of which are completely free. Again, we're a no sales company in that sense. And it's a real week-long event for PMO people. There's also some stuff in there for project managers. So do go and have a look at that, because there's lots of different speakers from all over the world, from all different associations as well, who are going to give you an interesting perspective on PMO and project management as a whole. So one of the things that we tend to like to do on these webinars is really to get your perspective. So based on what you've heard, do any of the things that I talked about in terms of tactics, so streamlining and decluttering, engaging your community, reviewing your services, doing a PMO and a technology MOT maybe, and join us for any of our kind of upcoming learnings. I'm just wondering which would you do next if you could? Cool, so we're already getting some information in there, and we always use this kind of information as well to kind of, you know, write articles and see what's important for people within PMO right now. So thank you for taking part with that. So I hope that this has been interesting. As always, our webinars or PMO webinars are short and sweet to give you, you know, short, sharp shock of information. Hopefully it's given you some insight, something different maybe to think about in terms of coming back to PMO and coming back this year. That's been particularly tricky for everybody. Do stay in touch. You've got the Dr. PMO clinic is happening. You will be the first people, in fact, to be able to choose dates for it. So I strongly, highly recommend that you take advantage of that. There's no substitute for being able to just bat things around with somebody for half an hour, just to maybe get a different perspective or get a good idea. So I hope to see you then. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope to see you at one of our next events.